Welcome back, Care Partners. It's Memory Care with Teresa. Hey, thanks for coming back. Today is episode 4. We're going to be talking about better communication with memory loss. I hope you enjoyed Marion Kiner last week. Boy, she was incredible. She's just a wealth of information and trying to get the balls rolling on better education in our nursing schools on dementia care. But today, better communication with memory loss. I'm so excited to spend 30 minutes packed full of information to share with you. If I don't get done, well, we'll have to have a plan B for this one, but exciting information. So get your pens and paper. Let's see. I need to go into my awesome sponsor for this week. We're talking about Serene Suites, Premier Memory Care. So let me tell you about Serene Suites. They're passionate innovators of memory care, from a team of highly trained dementia caregivers to carefully planned resident activities. Everything at Serene Suites Premier Memory Care everything they do is focused on supporting wellness and quality of life for people living with Alzheimer's disease and other related dementias. They are rewriting the approach to memory care using international best practices and collaboration with universities to create a richer experience for our residents and their loved ones. Their highly trained and well-respected team of physicians provide individualized support for the residents using evidence-based medical treatment and therapies. And you know what else you need to know? Once you step into Serene Suites, you'll find 66 stunning private studio suites, light-filled sunroom, a salon, spirit center, and a comfortable dining room that offers chef-prepared, honestly, I've been there, to meet a variety of dietary needs, including kosher diets. Residents and family enjoy the purposeful design of the courtyard, which allows for safe walking, exploring, and interactive activities. For more information, please contact www.theserenesuites.com or call and schedule a personal tour. That's here in Cincinnati in Blue Ash, Ohio, 513-745-5000. So again, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed last week. Better communication is vital when you're caring for someone with memory loss, because their senses start to change. Vision gets challenged, hearing gets challenged. And so we have to learn to move along with them, to pace ourselves, and to be able to reflect and be able to encourage them to continue talking with us instead of no, and correcting and finger wagging them down, which stifles communication, gets them irritated, and sometimes gets them in trouble, which buys them medication. So let's see what we can do. I have prepared a PowerPoint today because I want you to be able to have this great information. So for those of you on YouTube, here you go. For those of you on Spotify, you're still going to get lots of great information. So we will cue up slide 3, please. All right, better communication with memory loss. So we're going to talk today about a better approach, better conversations, and then better reconciliation, because, guys, it's not if they're going to get upset, it's just when. It's just when we're going to push a button, step on a toe. Maybe it is something that causes physical discomfort, but for a lot of them, we're just misunderstanding the cues. They're misunderstanding our cues, and we need to sometimes reconcile. So moving along, how do we get their attention? Because this is so important. The approach is vital, because if we mess this up, guys, it can lead to hours of them being completely upset with us. Fist might come up if we blow this. And it isn't, hey. No. We got to get in their world, right? And not startle them. And it comes with, because honestly, if you startle them, this is what you're going to get, the tiger inside. And it can just cause a behavior or inappropriate response from them. And I don't want you to have to fight with them. I want you guys to develop a relationship. Teepa Snow says it's all about the relationship, right? And so how do we grow that and not this? Because every time we run into them physically or emotionally, we can put a dent in the relationship. And I don't want that to happen with you. I know some of you are hearing this after the fact, like I did with my mom. We had already had some challenges and some run-ins. She had already thrown me out of the blankety blank house. This seasoned nurse, I'd been a nurse for at least 3 decades and had run a memory care. So, but I had so much to learn. I had so much to learn. So let's go back to the slides. And let's just learn some better ways to approach these people. Remember that people living with dementia lose peripheral vision. We've talked about that a little bit. So they lose their peripheral vision, comes down to at least a scuba mask. Think about you wearing your scuba mask right now. That does limit your field of view, doesn't it? Do you really care what's going on over there or over there? Nope, not too much. Definitely not too worried about what's behind you. But lordy, let's hope nobody comes up behind you and starts moving your wheelchair from behind. That can cause a lot of trouble because you've just startled me, frightened me, and could be got me really angry. And you would have to jump to the reconciliation part of this talk, right? But we're not there yet. So let's go back to talk about the vision, realizing they lose peripheral vision. So you, of course, know how you need to approach them. That's it, from the front. Always approach from the front. And how do we get permission to touch them? Well, it's a process, and you should never touch somebody without them giving you a cue that they see you. Maybe they wave, maybe they've got the little eyebrow thing, or maybe they smile. Depends how familiar you are with them. But I wouldn't touch someone or startle them. I wouldn't touch them until you've got permission. So we need to be really patient because all these other senses have been challenged. And so cognition may be compromised. They may or may not recognize you. At a certain point, they may not. So remember, we always talk about approaching from the front. We stop our arm's length, their arm's length out so that we don't startle. And we pause there. Outside the room, you should have made sure you're ready for this interaction too. Take a deep breath. Let your face know you're happy to be there to see them, because Mayo Clinic says it's the body language and tone that really sets the pace for this interaction, for this communication. And so does your face say you're happy to be there? Because I've had family members say, oh my gosh, I come in and the place is a wreck. I don't know what they've been doing. There's file stuff all pulled out. I mean, what in the world? And they come in going, Mom, geez, are you kidding me? Look at this disaster. Look at this mess. And I'm just saying, wow, it doesn't get the interaction off on the best foot. But can we change that around? And can we get ourselves ready before we come and interact with them? Take your breath. All right, you come in. Hey, Mom, so great to see you. Remember, Teepa Snow likes this. She promotes this positive physical approach. You show them the empty hand. So if they're paranoid, there's no handcuffs or, I've got nothing to harm you. I'm here because I want to visit. And it's like, hey, Teresa the nurse, so great to see you. And maybe you do put your hand out to shake with them. And if they do respond, if their muscle memory responds, wow, you just got permission to touch. And it wasn't that difficult, probably less than 2 minutes. But I have had folks that their vision was a little more challenged, or honestly, the family had been fighting with them and they had their dukes up when they opened the door. So they were wired up, and it took a couple of months to get to the source of why they were so uptight. Was it pain, fear, anxiety? And how to reprogram all that and really create this so we save the relationship. So they don't see me as someone coming in to do to them. By golly, you better do what I say. Wrong. But someone coming in to join them on the journey. They're living with dementia. There's a lot of life that can be lived, and it can be lived well. And you can bring them a lot of joy if we will take the time to learn a few techniques. So far, what have I talked about? Approach from the front. Well, get yourself right. Approach from the front. Introduce yourself every time. Introduce yourself. And then offer that hand maybe and see if they take your hand. And then you move away from being in front of them. Now, if I pause and you look at me and you don't give me a smile or You don't reach out your hand. Well, I have to wait. I definitely have to wait. It might be better to pull up a chair and try again, or maybe take a knee and get down on their level. If there's someone that's sitting in the wheelchair or sitting down on the couch, well, maybe we lower ourselves to their level so we're less threatening. What we don't want to do is lean forward. A constant mistake I made when I was getting my certification with TIPA Snow's organization, Positive Approach to Care. I had a bad habit of leaning forward. Not a good thing when my field of vision's like this, and to have all of me that close in front of you. That's very threatening, and probably you could get the left and the right if you aren't careful. So take your time, pause, move in. If I do come in too fast, whew, you better apologize right away. Oh gosh, Mom, I'm so sorry. What was I thinking? I upset you. You know what? Let me run and get your coffee. Yeah, sorry. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry. And I'm going to take the humble approach every time, not some of the time, every time, because it's worth it to me. It's worth it to maintain the relationship with her, that she can trust me. I do care. And I'm willing, when I make my mistakes, to turn it around and come back in and do it differently and try again to salvage that. So we approach in the front only. And like I said, give them the audible cue, wait. And once they acknowledge your presence, then move in alongside. So, and make your positive connection. What's that look like to make a positive connection? Well, it's not, boy, we got a busy day today. Shoo! You know what? After the shower and then the shampoo, oh, and then we should probably blow dry that hair. You know what? It's toenails today for sure. Boy, have we messed up. Guys, stop. Time out. They don't want to hear your agenda. Besides, if you're the daughter or even the spouse, they really don't want you taking care of them either. So how can we back up and do that again? I tell folks it's good to have your agenda. I like a list. I live by the list. And when I'm done at the end of the day, everything I didn't get done gets sorted and applied again to the other days where I can get it done. But your person living with dementia, they don't need to see the agenda. As a matter of fact, that can frighten them, that can, alienate them. They may not even understand what you're saying, but by golly, they don't want to be a part of all that mess. And so they may throw you out of the blankety blank house. Not good. So how about we put that agenda in the back pocket and just leave it there? And we're going to pace ourselves with this person, track with them. And I know a lot of people ask me, well, what stage do you think so-and-so's in? What stage? Guys, here's the deal. We can spend a lot of time doing all the staging thing. Great. But here's the real deal. In the moment, these are people. And they may be tired or not. They may be hungry or not. They may be thirsty. They may have an upset stomach or, need to use the bathroom. There may be urgency. They may have a fear right now about they were supposed to meet somebody, and by golly, are their parents here yet? And who knows? We have to join them in their world, come alongside. And so I just have a goal to serve them to the best of my ability at that time without upsetting them, without causing fear, distress, or anger, and keeping that to a minimum. And so make your positive connection with a compliment, not with a list of everything we intend to get done today. All right, I hope that makes sense for you. And for some of you, this is an aha moment. You're going, whoa, I've been messing that up for a long time. I was too. I was messing it up. Okay, well, what about body language? What about body language or your tone? It's interesting that as I study dementia, and I know some of you watch Netflix and all the different cable movie shows, and I'm probably watching a documentary on dementia care or another TIPA Snow video, or see what Mayo Clinic's up to. But Mayo Clinic is the one that taught me about body language and tone. And they said that really, when we're communicating with an individual, that our body language and our tone, really, that's most of the communication. They actually said body language was 55%. And that our tone was coming in at 35%. That's a lot. And that really the words that we use they may or may not be catching the words that we use. And so I've told you before, we need to speak slower. I definitely do when I'm interacting with someone living with dementia. But if we don't have the body language and the tone right, none of it works. So I had a caregiver who would come in and say, hey, good morning, Mrs. Smith. It's good to see you. I'm Carolyn. I'll be your caregiver today. And if it didn't go well, she might say, oh, great. Well, I'm sorry I upset you. Okay, so trust me that they pick up on the body language and the tone, and that's not going to go well. We can't fake them out with our apology. Everything we do needs to be sincere if we want to have a relationship built on trust with them. I'm telling you, they may not remember all the words that you use, but boy, can they remember how you made them feel. And so body language and tone is super important. That's another reason we take a minute outside their room, outside their house, wherever we're going to meet them, to get ourselves right. Because we all have issues. We got problems. We all have stuff going on. We're busy. Maybe you just had the flat tire, or you forgot your purse, or the kids called and they forgot their lunch. And there's just stuff. It's life. And we have to move through those challenges. But what we don't want to do is come in and unload that stress onto an easy target, someone who might be just sitting there. So use hand gestures to get the point across as their ability to understand you as language and cognition decreases. I hope that you will start implementing more forms of communication. So let's talk about better communication. How about a few techniques? We've talked a lot about, at least in my world, I've been studying up on pacing. And so pacing means matching your pace to theirs and then pause as needed. So what does that look like? So when I come in to meet somebody, I want to notice, mark this down, how many words are they using to communicate? How many words am I using? But how many words are they using? Are they saying, good morning, fine? Or is it just social chit chat? All is well, yes, how are you? Is it just the right side of their brain? Are they just using their ability to be cordial? But it's really superficial. But if they're just using a couple of words, pacing means I should use a couple of words. Good morning, Mom. It's great to see you. And maybe I shorten my communication down to just 3 or 4 sentences if in that moment that's where she is. Now, a ball gets thrown into it and messes everything up if when you get there, she's got a good fear going on. So if she's wondering where her parents are in that moment and you're thinking, ooh, they've been gone a long time, that's when we have to be able to, think on our feet and figure out the best way to respond to them at that moment. And that happened to me. I came in once and she's like, are my parents here? Are my parents here? And I said, well, and part of validating means that I let her think that I understand what she's saying and I'm actively doing something to work on it. I said, Mama, I'm not sure, but let me run and check the driveway. So I left the room. She was in a hospital bed at that point. She couldn't fall out or anything. And really, it bought me time to think about what I was going to say next that would be part of the solution, guys, and not part of the problem, not making it worse or giving her more fear. I'm trying to think, what can I say to de-escalate her energy that seems fearful right now? She was definitely giving me a feeling that she was worried about her parents getting there and she might be in trouble for something. That's what it felt like to me. And so it's like, okay, I've got to somehow validate it and then help put it to bed for her so she stops worrying. So I came back in. I said, Mama, hey, I checked the driveway and they're not here. That little green car. And she went, yeah, yeah, yeah. That was their last car that I remembered. I said, the little green car. And she went, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I said, you know what? They're not here. But you know what? I got someone out there watching for them. And she goes, oh, good, good. And you felt it just you felt it just start to relax a little bit. That was my opportunity to redirect her then to a happier moment. Know what your person living with dementia, know what their favorite things are. What are your go-tos when they're upset about something? What are your go-tos to redirect them to a happy place? I like to live in the happy place with her. Yeah, and so happy place could be pictures of puppies and kittens on the iPad that she could still see, or letting her talk, listen to something maybe the grandbaby said. Anyway, babies, grandbabies, and puppies and kittens were always a go-to. And so I'd say, oh, 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 that's a deepest no. Oh, 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 that tends to be a wait, what with a lot of these individuals living with dementia. And they'll kind of, what? Like, what are you trying to say? And it's a way to get their attention without saying, hey, you, hey, 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 hey. It's like, oh, 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 like you have something exciting to tell them. Watch the tone and body language. And remember, don't yell at these people when they're not understanding. Usually they're not hard of hearing. Sometimes they are hard of hearing. But again, are you in front of them? Can they see your face? Can they read your lips? Are you using your hand motions to go along with what you're saying? Lots of tricks to the trade to help with better communication. And so I was able to redirect her to some pictures on the iPad, and it worked. Okay, so just know that you can get sidelined by them being upset about something. And we always need to be on our toes for that, because guess what? It's not a perfect world. This dementia thing is difficult, and sometimes they all of a sudden are afraid of something or think they need to be somewhere, but we better know how to validate it. So another technique for better communication would be reflection. And that means if they say something to me like someone has stolen my purse again, instead of me correcting them going, no, nobody stole your purse. Your purse is okay. Wrong answer again. And trust me, I made these mistakes. Better to reflect it back to them. And maybe you acknowledge, but you repeat it back. Oh no, someone stole your purse again, and repeat it back to them. They might be thankful that you understand what they're trying to say. They may continue the thought, or they possibly would correct themselves, especially if they're using the wrong words. They may correct themselves, which would help you understand a little better about what they're after. But what I don't want you to do is ever stop the communication. If anything, you want them to tell you more. Oh, wow, that's not right. Tell me more. The gray one or the blue one? And as she starts to give me more information, you can practice some techniques that work. Maybe for your loved one, all you have to say is, I'm so glad you told me. You know what? I'm good at finding that purse, and I'm going to find out who took it. Whew. That just shouldn't happen around here, Mama. No, it shouldn't happen. Oh, 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 hey, you know what? Well, my goodness, it's lunchtime. You know what? Let's head down the hall and we'll get some lunch, and I'm going to talk to that charge nurse about this. That shouldn't happen. Yeah. Yeah. I think they're having grilled cheese and tomatoes. Ooh, you love that, don't you? And you see how I'm going to redirect that to a happier place. But listen, you try redirecting, saying, oh, it's lunchtime. Forget about the purse. It's lunchtime. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You've just created a mess. If they think you don't care, or you didn't hear, or they can get to the point where they don't even want to deal with you. Okay, because you're not giving them the response that they need. No good, no good. Okay, so we're not going to correct them. We're trying to give them more information, but validation is key. Validation. That means even if they're wrong, right? We acknowledge their frustration or their anger and understanding and accept it. All right. So, oh my gosh, no one should steal your purse ever. Wow. I'm talking to the charge nurse about that. I'm so glad you told me. Okay. So affirm them for telling you. Don't correct them. Let them believe. If that's what they believe, do you think you can change their mind about that? The answer is no way. No way. In that moment, they are where they are in the disease, and all we can do is come alongside and join them on the journey and do our best to learn techniques to lead them back to a happy place. It'll take practice. You're going to mess it up a few times. Then you'll be able to make a list, share it with the other caregivers on what is the happy place for that person living with dementia. Some other tips, I've said this before, but it's good to remind you, avoid those yes, no questions. Are you going to eat today? Are you going to shower today? Are you going to ever get up today? Okay, wrong. Because they learn to say no. They aren't processing all the words anyway, but they know when they're being asked a question. And so they typically are just going to go for no. Much better to use either or. Okay, do you want something to drink or something else? Which opens the door for you to let them feel that they're still in control. If they can't come up with something else, and you would know your loved one better than anyone, you can say, oh, did you want the lemonade or iced tea? And give them that either or so they can choose. Did you want to wear the blue dress or the green dress? Did you think we should go to Chipotle or, Chick-fil-A, and let them choose if they still have that ability? So we're going to love them along at the ability they still have, allowing them to do as much as they can for themselves, and just join them on the journey in the places where they're struggling. These folks have a lot of life to live, and we shouldn't come in and take over. We shouldn't come in and just drop kick them into a secured environment. Maybe they're not ready. I would pace yourself on that. Seek counsel. Get good advice. And besides, we want to research and find the best places, right? Don't react and take things away. This is another thing. I know one day my mom had she had picked something up on the table, like, I don't know, a screwdriver or something someone had left there. Well, that's not really the best thing for her to be handling in her wheelchair, or if she walked, it'd be even more dangerous, right? You think of a little kid or someone who could fall. But what we don't want to do is reach in there and jerk something and try and take it away, because all that does is make them irritated. And not only that, you made your mom feel like a child, or you made your wife feel like a child, your aunt, however the relationship is. But you could exchange something with them. Oh, try this, and give them something that would be safer. It might be an item to eat. It might be I don't know, stuffed animal. It might be a piece of jewelry, and then you trade them for the thing that's not safe. But don't run in there with, I told you to stop doing that. Okay, no, that stuff doesn't work. It doesn't help. It doesn't help you grow in your relationship and trust with them at all. All it does is put a bigger wedge in the relationship. So try this, try substituting if you need to change things out. When you're not sure what they're talking about, just encourage more. Tell me more. Wow. Can you believe that happened? Oh my goodness, I need to hear about this. And see if they'll go ahead and elaborate and give you more information. Try and maintain the conversation, not stop the conversation to get on to my agenda. All right. I would just tell you. So best options when, situation changes. What is the goal? The goal is to be respectful and non-agitating, especially when the unexpected happens. I'll say it again. Our goal is to be respectful and non-agitating, especially when the unexpected happens. Okay, so take a breath. I know we like to react sometimes instead of making things better. We like to react because it startles us and we're like, don't do that. But let's talk about some possible situations. Why do they accuse you why do they accuse us of things or overreact to everything? And it does sometimes seem like they overreact, but their world is here, or even smaller, right? And so their world is here. They do startle easy. They don't see things coming in from the sides. And so that's another reason they do overreact. Or why do they start using bad words? Well, when language and cognition gets damaged over here, they flip to the other side of their brain, and I call them the emergency words. I guess I need to patent that, but I call them the emergency words, and they may go to a creative, colorful word. It may be cuss words, it may be racial slurs, it may have sexual innuendo. It's just what is right there, and it doesn't matter how they've grown up. These words are there, and all of a sudden they're using language that you've never ever heard before. But anyway, I want you to not react to that and just realize that when they're using words like that, that chances are there's pain, fear, or anxiety going on. What is that? Pain, fear, or anxiety. And again, that's the time to be the detective, not the judge. The detective, not the judge. All right. So there's so much to communicating, to share. We will talk a lot about communicating as we move forward with this podcast, and we'll have speakers who will also teach us about better techniques on communicating with people living with dementia. But I'm just excited you're here. I hope this information has been helpful. I want to thank Griffo Productions for my podcast and getting it out there to everybody. I want to thank Serene Sweets. Right, they are incredible. If you're here in Cincinnati, be sure and call and set up an appointment to go see them. They are a premier memory care. They only do memory care. And you don't find that everywhere. Some place that only does memory care. They really are special. They're family run organization. Been there lots of times, and I highly recommend you go and get a tour. And above all, I hope that you'll go like, subscribe, and share the podcast, because we have a lot of people that need this information, and a lot of people like me who didn't know they needed this information, right? Because we kind of thought we knew it all. Wrong again. So thanks again for being here. And just remember, when it comes to better dementia care, there's so much to learn, and you got this.